How's it going, everybody? Johnny Styles here with the Wellness Observer Live. Thank you one more time for being here and listening in or watching if you're watching on YouTube or Spotify. We are now 14,000 followers on the Wellness Observer Live. Thank you so much for following the very best in the wellness category. Of course, right here with the Godfather of Wellness. This is the recap of the 2022 Texas Pro, brought to you guys by the Battle Up Productions over there with Freddie Mac and Shayla, very good friends of mine. They had me last year, and I've been to every year with the crew of Liquid Sunrays. I even gave out the award for last year's overall wellness winner at the Battle of Texas, which was Victoria Puentes, which we all thought was going to do this show, and she was totally MIA alongside with Julia Renee and Lori Slayer, all these girls that we all thought were going to do Texas because they're around Texas. But it wasn't the case. We had 14 pro wellness athletes on stage. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, you guys were afraid that the category we wouldn't have any girls up, considering what happened at the beginning of the year. And, little by little, as I told you guys, the second half of the year is going to be better. And we're going to keep seeing more and more athletes joining the ranks of the NPC in the IFBB Pro League, not only from America, from the entire world itself, including Spain, obviously Brazil, Puerto Rico, Cuba, Dominican Republic, all these other international places that want to get in. So it's going to be, brace yourself, because it's going to be one of the best categories, if not the very best. You just wait to the Olympia, and we are on our way to the road to the Olympia. So very soon I'll be posting cool videos so you guys can check it out, only right here on the Wellness Observer Live. You can check all the pictures on NPC News Online. They were all taken by the architect, tag team partner right there, J.M. Mannion. And you know that when he takes the pictures, those are legit. One thing I want to mention, to you guys is that sometimes when you're there in person, the lighting is not, the best, where you're, depending on where you're sitting, this, that, and the other. This pictures from JM, I fully 100% trust, because I know, and I've been there in the press pit. I've been there. I've lived it. When we do the white balance, when we do the lighting checkups, he's in the right place at the right time. So starting with that, I'm going to call out the top 6, if you want to call it that, because all 6 girls look really good. And while some of them can get better, I think it's becoming more and more apparent that these girls are getting better no matter what. And that's something you got to realize when you're doing show after show. You want to be better. You want to, beat your previous version, depending on where you are in the lineup, because you don't know who you're going to be facing. But if you compare your pictures from a show that you probably won and a show you probably placed 4th, then you might see where you kind of left off things that were not there, or you were just faced with people that were just better than you on that given day. So on 6th place, we had Priscilla Lynn. We've seen her before. She had great color on stage, great presentation. She was very elegant. I really liked her a lot. I liked her abs a lot. In this picture, you can see her abs. She's doing like a vacuum pose. And of course, in this front shot, you can't really say that, she doesn't have the quads, because this front pose is not very good on it. It doesn't look very good on her. It makes her quads look very, very small. Okay. But she does have quads. Don't get me wrong. She does have quads. From the side, crazy glute conditioning, crazy glute size, good overall size when she's standing to her on herself. Okay, when she's standing in next to people, it's a different story. When she turns from the back, you can see she has a crazy teardrop right here, okay? Her calves absolutely need to be worked on, okay? And in some circumstances, you can say that, she looks crazy big here in the quads and the hamstrings and makes her calves look small. You can tell she has worked on her calves, okay? You can tell that she has worked tremendously on them. She just needs more size on them to make everything flow and everything better. Next up, we will have somebody. Let's see, because a lot of people were talking about her and things didn't go her way. Okay. She is none other than Miss USA right here, Jenny Sachs. She places fifth of all things. And a lot of people had her winning the show, believe it or not. She had a lot of hype and she places fifth. You see, Jenny, this is what happens when you go to places or other media outlets that don't know anything about nothing about the wellness category. When you go to RX Muscle, for example, when you do interviews with them and not with a lot of other wellness, things don't go your way. I'm kidding. I like Jenny a lot. She knows it. Great look for Jenny. I would have loved Jenny to do Tampa. I thought she would have done great in Tampa. And she would have done a little bit better than she did in Texas. But she decided to do Texas. She still needs to work on her posing. She didn't look as confident as she looked in the USA's. And that's just my opinion, obviously. She looks very figure-ish because she's very tall compared to the other girls. And, from the side here, you can tell, I don't care what you read online. I think the USA's better. The USA's shape and conditioning was way, way better than the one we saw here in Texas. Perfect example right here is, in her side leg, we didn't see the cuts that we saw at the USA's, especially in this side quarter turn pose on her mandatories where she was in her presentation. She was crazy hard from the back, okay? And, while she does, again, look good by herself, it's probably when you put her in a lineup with people that she really seems to be smaller than everybody else. And in reality, she does tend to look very figure-ish compared to other girls. And it's just one of those things that when you have a girl that just won a show, especially in the national qualifier, and you turn pro, you probably are the very best right there in the amateur ranks. But when you go on to the pros, there is when you meet your match. And people ask me that if she would have won the show, could have happened. And I'm absolutely. If you saw this show, this was the show where Andrew Jack won the men's open bodybuilding, and Andrew Jack just that's her pro debut. That's his pro debut, and he won the show. So it could have definitely be done, and she could have done damage, but it didn't go her way. So Jenny, next up, instead of going other places, come on, man. You know exactly where you needed to go. I'm joking. Of course, you got to joke because, what else are you going to do? In fourth place, coming from Tampa, we've got none other than Diona Verdesco, straight from Mexico. She already qualified for the Olympia, but she decided to do the show. I guess this show was in her tour, her North American tour, if you want to call it that. And she, I talked to her coach, and he told me that she was heavier on stage. And to me, it was weird because seeing her on stage, she did look fuller, but she didn't look as conditioned as she looked in Tampa. And you got to realize in Tampa, she was on. You can tell by miles. That Diona has all the size in the world. Even though her calves can get better, she has all the size in the world. And you can tell, especially here, that she's not as hard as she was in Tampa. I have no problem with her size. I have, conditioning is an issue, especially from the side here. When she's doing this transition pose, you can tell that she wasn't crisp like she was in Tampa. So I would have liked her to be a little bit harder, especially the way she was, coming off that win in Tampa. I think if she would have gotten harder, I think she would have, done battle for first and second, honestly, because, she packs a punch completely. That was fourth place, right? So third place, we have one of my favorites, because she is one of my favorites. She's coming off, the amateur rank, coming to the pro league. Amanda Burnett, great size, great stage presentation. Her posing still needs work. I think she realizes that her posing needs work. I liked Amanda a lot, especially in the side pose. She is way up and down, and you can tell that she wasn't as hard from the sides that, usually we've seen her a little bit harder, but she's very well balanced. Overall, she had a very, very good balance. I really liked her look. She even, I don't know why she did this, honestly, but she showed her back. And I want to say something, make a pause here for all the girls watching. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that when you're on stage. When, this is something, if you want to do it, fine. It won't count as a point. Judges won't take advantage of it, showing your back. You can play with your hair, but if you want to show your back to show some symmetry or whatever, you can do it. It's just it won't level out scoring or whatever. In reality, she has all tools to make a very big impact on the IFBB Pro League. I really like her. I am going to talk about her in a little bit because, in a way, I had her up there battling first and second, but more on that a little bit later on. Next up, we have in second place, little mighty, little but mighty, Lily Dawn, straight from Tampa. She battles here in Texas. No pun intended, I guess, because this is not the Battle of Texas. But Lily looks great. Again, Lily by herself, she's done amazing improvements. I am really proud of her. This is somebody that really pushed it really hard. Great look, great color, great presentation, great tiny waist. But she's a tiny package. From the side, great glute. She can still use a little bit more upper glute. Great quality on this side. She's smaller, good calves, very tight in the abs. From the back, you'll see that she has crazy tie-ins. And, she could have used a little bit more oil on her body just to make it a little bit, glossy. Great calves, great presentation on Lily. In reality, I would have loved, imagine if Lily had, I don't know, she was like 3 inches taller. Holy moly. She can still get better. She can still get better. She can still grow. She can still add some mass to this body. But we know now that Lily can definitely nail in conditioning. So winning this show, believe it or not, if people didn't know, now you know. Devin Comrade, she wins the show. She's going back to the Olympia. She has great stage presentation. She's a very pretty girl. She has great coloring on stage, of course. Liquid Sun Rays, as I believe was on there. And right there, you can see great abs, great arms, great delts. Very good in her front pose. This is not easy to pull off, a front pose. From the side, when she turns to the side, you can see great glute development and crazy shredded hamstrings. This, my friends, is not easy to get, okay? I have been hard on her before because she hasn't nailed conditioning and she needed size. Well, I love to be proved wrong. She has put on size and she's worked on the conditioning. Great side pose. All these girls watching right now, this is a great side pose. You can see her abs are in, showing her glutes. Right, look at round glutes. She can still probably get a little bit upper, but this is just me nitpicking, obviously. Showing the calves. Great hamstring. This is not Photoshop, my friends. This is real deal. Trust me, I double checked. From the back, she was crazy full in these, ginormous glutes for no pun intended, but I mean, for a white girl. Holy moly, this is great glutes. From the back, she could use a little bit more outer quad, and her calves need work. Okay, but the full package on Devin was great. What I think people don't understand is that, when you are standing by yourself, it's one thing. It's different when you're starting, when you are standing in front of a lineup. And I'm gonna pull the lineup that I think specifically I liked. Okay, so right here you have top 6 girls that I called in. Okay, I'm gonna put this picture a little bit bigger so you guys can see it. At very first, you got none other than Devin and Amanda right in the middle. And that's the one that I like. That's the one that I want you guys to realize. While you have Lily and Diana on the left side right here, they are the smaller ones. Okay. And then to the other side, you got Priscilla right here. And as you see, Jenny is taller than everybody else. Jenny on this lineup, believe it or not, she looks very figure-ish. Okay. So the comparison between Devin and Amanda is pretty spot on. And I don't know if you guys saw my picture on the Wellness Observer Live where I posted them to. It looks from the front, it looks that like Amanda should have won. That's just specifically that picture. Okay, I have this picture somewhere here and I'll show it to you guys in a minute. That's the picture that, I wanted to put up there. And I said, very interesting, because when you look at this picture, the first thing that pops in your head is like, wow, Amanda looks complete, looks like her package is more complete, and her legs are bigger, her color is bigger, her whole package is complete. Now, when they started in the lineup, especially from the quarter turns, this is what nailed it for Devin right here. I want to show you guys. Look at her glutes, look at her hamstrings, and look at Amanda's glutes and hamstrings. They're way softer than Devin. And then you go all the way here to Lily, which is very, very small, but she is in condition, and you can see their lines in her quads and her hamstrings. So for Diana, you can say the same thing. She can flip-flop with Amanda, because in reality, they're both very soft compared to Devin and Lily. So that's why Devin was first and Lily was second. I think the judges saw that, and it's like, all right, let's go next in line with conditioning, and we go with Lily. When you go here and you see that Jenny is right there, you can see that she flares up pretty well with Amanda. It's just, in reality, she wasn't as hard as we would have seen her. And remember, you can only be your best. This is what the judges remember, your last show. From the back, look at this, ladies and gentlemen. From the back, there is no question that fuller and harder compared to the other girls, Devin is right there along with them. Now, this is where Lily is missing. This is where Lily is smaller. Okay, this is where girls like Diana destroy Lily. Okay, and this is where you can tell that Jenny's glutes are way smaller compared to Diana and Devin. Okay, and even Amanda. Okay, she has some glutes. Okay, she has some glutes. Genetically gifted from some glutes. She just needs to get bigger. Priscilla's right there with them. It's just she didn't have the oomph to her. She didn't have the fullness we've seen her before, and she just didn't flow this time around. When they turn again to the quarter turn, you can see again, specifically, very clearly right here, that, let's say this four right here. Hard on Lily, softer on Diana, hard on Devin, soft on Amanda. Okay, I'm putting the mouse right over the areas that the judges are looking at. Okay, so we see roundness, we see roundness, but we're missing lines here on Amanda. We're missing lines here on Diana, specifically after watching her at the Tampa Pro. With Jenny, she is standing way up and down here, and while she does have some glute development, it makes her look very figure-ish. I would tone down on her upper body for real, because she looks like very, very figure-ish. So in reality, you can't really talk about how people look when they're standing next to each other, when they're standing alone, because when they're standing alone, they look amazing by themselves. It's when you stand them next to each other that everything changes. So congratulations to Devin. Will she make a Olympia battle up there? Will she change the Johnny Styles first call out? I am not sure yet. I don't think so. I think she can be good for a second call out, and she can definitely do battle for those, top, not the top five, but the next top five. So if you do 5 and 5 in the beginning, first call out you call 5, or next call you call 5 more. I think she can do well. She can present herself as a good contender for that second call out in the Olympia. But Other than that, I don't think she can make the splash unless the other girls are not in shape. Unless somebody from that lineup that I have at the moment comes in very, very off. Okay. So that's the main reason why Devin won. In reality, it comes down to the total package. Total package in this lineup clearly has Devin's name all over it. And again, if Devin wasn't in this lineup, I really liked Amanda because you gotta see this is still bodybuilding. Okay, this is still body. And while Lily has all the conditioning in the world, and I still think, sometimes people ask me this question all the time. It's like, is there size or conditioning? I think conditioning probably always wins, but in our class of wellness, you still need the size, especially on the lower body. Lily nails the conditioning, but has very, very small glutes compared to the other competitors. Can she get better? Absolutely. She can still do 10 more months of a good bulk, and who knows what's going to be the package. Diona looks great. She was just not on her game. She was a couple pounds heavier, apparently, and she wanted to come in more full, and that didn't work for her. For the Olympia, maybe she needs to come in just like it did in Tampa. For Jenny, she just went to somewhere else to do an interview. No, I kid. For Jenny, she just needs more size. And again, coming off an amateur ranks on the NPC, looking her very best at the USA's, this was not her very best, in my opinion. And she can get better. Of course, she's proved me wrong the past 2 years. She's developed this great physique, and I think she can get better, of course, with the right. She has a great camp. She has a great group of people. She has, I think, George Farah and everybody else on her side, Dave Grata and all these guys that are helping her. And, she can get better. And Amanda's one of those girls that has everything to win shows. And she is going to win shows. Let me tell you, she is going to win some shows. I believe so. She just has to nail her conditioning from the side specifically. She can get better, of course. Priscilla has all the tools. Again, she can get bigger. She can get bigger, in my opinion. She should take some time off, and she just needs to get bigger. This has been the Godfather of Wellness, Johnny Sells. Thank you so much for, watching the show and watching the real deal on my critiques. And I'll keep you guys updated on the following videos. I know you guys want me to talk about Bakar, world famous Bakar, which apparently she's been talking about doing some wellness shows. And I got something to say about that situation. So this has been Johnny Styles. Thank you so much for following the Wellness Observer Live, and I'll see you soon.